Morning. Excuse me. Okay. Morning. Hey, Avery. How's it going, darling? We're getting to the end of this, huh? It's wild. Wild and sad. Too sad. How will we survive? I genuinely don't know. I genuinely just don't know. Oh, that was way too full. Hey, Amanda. Amanda, how's your car? I'm not ready for this book to be over. I know, Avery. I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. Morning, Anya. I don't know how to survive without it. Hey, Sloth. I think we're all gonna have a period of mourning, you know. Hey, Becca. I think there's nothing else we can do, right? Except just like we either don't finish it or we do finish it, and we all want to finish it. So it's like, I know we all feel the same way. We're just not ready. Hey, Naisa. It's sad. I mean, it's fine, but I had to file a claim for hail damage. Ugh, terrible. I have only experienced hail like 1 or 2 times in my life, but it was never truly damaging, so I can't even imagine what you're dealing with. It's not good. Not good at all. Not good at all. How was everyone's Monday? Did anyone watch Bachelorette? I got excused from jury duty for the next 2 years because they do. Rude. I really want to do jury duty. Hey, Danielle. I really want to do it. It's the second time in 2 years. Gosh, do you guys get that much hail that strong, Amanda? We talked about not wanting to finish the series / well, yeah, that's what we're talking about. I mean, we want to finish it and we don't all at the same time. You know what I mean? It's super confusing. It's like, how do you grapple with that emotionally where you know you want to finish it? I got excused for 10 years because I served. Was it a cool case, Becca? I'm interested to do it. I've never done jury duty. I want to do it. Yeah, me too. Hey, Julia. I'm interested in doing it. They've never called me. I'm registered and all that, but I've never received a summons ever in my life. I had a bad storm yesterday and it was hailing and so windy. Really, did you also have big bad hail? Not usually, but the weather's been crazy this year. We're in the cities. Yeah. Medical cases. Boring. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. We don't want to finish, but we don't want to finish. Right. What are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? Like, we want to know what happens, but we don't want it to be over. That's what it is. That's the reality. We want to know what happens, but we don't want it to be over. So, like, we want to be able to keep going and we want him to do more. Golf-size storm. Oh, yeah, that's big, right? Like, that's going to cause some damage. We haven't really had any storms at all this year. Last year we definitely did, but this year, not really. I passed my summons to you the next 2 years. I don't know if they're gonna buy that on you. They're gonna be like, where's your ID? And I'm gonna be like, don't have one. Thank you for asking. Thank you so much for asking, but I do not possess an ID with the name Anya on it. Sorry for your loss. Or my loss. Somebody's loss. But yeah, did anyone watch The Bachelor last night? Anybody? Or Bachelorette, rather? I sure did. My friend was someone this year and she hates it. Really? Yeah. What you gonna do? Next time I get one, sorry, Venmo told me I moved to California. That's right. They sure did. Do you guys want to hear a funny prank that Secret Husband played on me last night? It was like a harmless prank. It is Prime Day. It is. Secret Husband totally pranked me last night and he got me good. Are you talking about Bachelorette, Avery? So last night, so we went to the grocery store on Sunday. We got like a huge bag of cotton candy grapes. Have you guys had cotton candy grapes? They're so good. Bachelorette was an okay episode. Morning, Jen. And we got this huge bag of cotton candy grapes. And so last night after dinner, he was like, oh, we should have some grapes. And he got some, but I was still full from dinner and we were watching Bachelorette. And I was like, I'm going to wait a little while. So he ate some grapes. They're delicious, right? He ate the bowl of grapes and that was that. And then he left a couple in the bowl for me. And then as I was eating them, he was like, you want more? And I was like, yeah, let's have some more. You know, why not? Right? Because he had eaten most of them. And so that we had plenty. And so he goes to refill the bowl of grapes for me, which is so kind because he was like, you're watching the show more than I am. You pay attention, like whatever, yada, yada. And I was like, all right, cool. So he brings back this bowl of cotton candy grapes and I'm eating them. They're phenomenal, delicious, amazing grapes. And I pick another one up. I'm watching the show. I'm not watching the grapes. And I pop one in my mouth and I spit it out immediately because something is wrong with this grape. And I don't know if you guys know this about me, but like I can't handle, like I have a really serious aversion to like squishy food, like squishy fruits and vegetables, or like bad grapes or bad tomatoes. I will like throw up, like I cannot take it, right? And so I spit the grape out, like not wanting to like have a gag reaction to this bad grape. And then I realized it was one of my green grape tomatoes because I was like, wait, it tastes like a tomato. And he put it in there as a joke because it looks just like the grapes because they're small little mini heirloom green tomatoes and they're delicious and there was nothing wrong with it, but it definitely got me. And he was like, I didn't think that was going to happen that fast. So he was right on top. It was great. I ate it. It was fine because it was still good and it was a good tomato. But it made me laugh. I was like, what the heck is this? Because the taste of a grape tomato and a cotton candy grape are not the same. There is no similarity in those two flavors. Oh, I love tomatoes, so that doesn't bother me. I mean, I wanted the tomatoes in the house, but it was still funny. Still funny. He got me good. I would have spit it at him. Oh, I see. I love tomatoes, so he knew that. If I didn't like tomatoes, he wouldn't have done it. He's not that mean, but like they're my tomatoes. He doesn't even eat them. I might have to get off soon. I might actually work. I'm not a fan, but I love heirloom tomatoes. Yeah, I love heirloom tomatoes. They are so good, especially like the little multicolored ones. I love those. But I eat a lot of tomatoes. I'm a big tomato person, but I'm also Italian. I like grow up there in everything, you know. So it's a staple food of my people. They don't get that, Danielle. It's weird. I don't understand why they're like not with it. It is rude. Okay, that's very hot, but it's nice. I'm into it. Okay, so I'm surprised a lot of people don't like tomatoes. Me too. Have your HL car, HR, that's right. Yeah, I'm a huge tomato person. I could eat tomatoes every single day. Secret Husband only eats them in specific circumstances. He doesn't love raw tomatoes unless, like, he likes the heirloom ones better than the other ones. I like them all. I'll just save me from having, yes, exactly. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I love tomatoes. Yeah, me too, Amanda. I'll just eat them straight. Just eat them straight. But you could see how tasting a bunch of cotton candy grapes and then putting a tomato in your mouth, you would be confused. It was very confusing. I was like, what is this flavor? It was bad. It got me. He won that one, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna have to get him back somehow today. I like cooked tomatoes. Yeah, I mean, most people like cooked tomatoes because most people will at least have sauce, right? Not everybody, but most people will have tomato sauce either on pizza or pasta or whatever. Most, of course. All right, bye Danielle, see you later. But yeah, anyway. So we are on chapter 20. It was an amazing tomato, but a gross grape. That's exactly right. If it had been a grape, I would have been... The problem is if it had been a grape and my brain had registered it as a bad grape, I wouldn't have been able to eat. I'm like this person, if I get a bad food, I can't eat that food again for like months. Even though I love tomatoes, if I put a bad tomato in my mouth, they're done. They're dead to me for months. It's like, it's a problem. It's like a mental issue I have. What are you gonna do, right? Yeah, we should brainstorm pranks for him today. I don't know what it'll be, but all right. Chapter 20 is called Raising Demons. Scary. They look like fire demons, honestly, but I don't know if that has to do with Xanthos or like whatever. I don't know. We're about to find out. Raising Demons. The fairies and the witches were running out of places to look for Xanthos. In the last 3 days, they had thoroughly searched the cold mountains of the north, and they had combed through the thick forests of the west, and they had explored the foothills of the east. But still, they hadn't found a trace of their friend anywhere. If they weren't so concerned about Xanthos, his friends would have been impressed by how well he had hidden his tracks. The only place the fairies and the witches hadn't searched was the righteous empire, and none of them wanted to set foot in there. However, their desire to find Xanthos outweighed their reservations, and they all agreed to go. To attract the least amount of attention, the fairies and the witches waited until it was dark to travel into the empire. Emeralda cast a spell over their golden carriage and unicorns and disguised them as regular coach and horses. They decided to begin their search in the south of the empire and then work their way north. As the coaches and the horses arrived at the southernmost point of the southern shore, the sight of an abandoned structure sent shivers down their spines. "The fortress," Sprout said with a nervous lump in her throat. "That's something I was hoping to never see again." "Do we have to go in there?" Skylene asked. "Don't worry, it's probably empty," Emeralda assured them. "The Righteous Brotherhood and the Army of the Dead are all in Chariot Hills with the Emperor. They have no reason to be here anymore. See, their flag isn't even raised." Why would Xanthos hide in there of all places?" Tangerine asked. "Hasn't he been through enough trauma already?" "No one in their right mind would expect Xanthos to be hiding in the fortress. That's why it would be the perfect place for him," Emeralda said. "It's worth taking a look." "Mrs. V, did you bring any cooking utensils with you?" Skylene asked. They really saved our skins last time we were in this place." "Well, I packed my finest silverware and my best set of pots and pans," Mrs. V said. "I'm ready for battle or an impromptu dinner party, and to be honest, I'm not sure which I'm more afraid of." The coach and the horses parked beside the entrance to the fortress, and the passengers stepped outside. The fortress was just as unsettling as the fairies and the witches remembered. It seemed more like the remains of a massive creature than the ruins of an ancient structure. The weathered walls looked like the skin of a decaying carcass, and its 5 crumbling towers stretched toward the night sky like the fingers of a giant skeletal hand. "This place gives me the creeps," Bibi shuddered. Pip sniffed the air. "It reeks of fear and death," she said. "Guess I've missed it," Stitches said with a crooked smirk. The fairies and the witches split into groups of 2 and searched the fortress. Skylene and Mrs. V searched the lower levels. Bibi and Pip searched the upper floors, and Stitches and Sprout searched the towers. Meanwhile, Emeralda and Tangerina walked through the vast courtyard in the center. Everything they looked at reminded them of the horrible night when they were almost killed by the Righteous Brotherhood and the Army of the Dead. Unfortunately, they didn't find a single clue of Xanthos anywhere. "Gosh, he really is playing hard to get," Tangerina said as she searched the courtyard. "Why is he trying so hard to stay away from us? We're his friends. We could help him."
But he's trying to protect us from himself, Esmeralda said. But if we're having such a hard time finding him, let's hope the alchemists are too. I just pray that he can keep it up until Bristol and Lucy get back with the Book of Sorcery. If they get back with the Book of Sorcery, Tangerina said, we should probably start thinking of a plan B in case they don't return. Esmeralda let out a defeated sigh and sat down on a pile of rubble. Oh, you're right, she said. But Bristol still has a week left to live. Let's not give up on her just yet. The girls were distracted when they noticed Stitches on the roof of the tallest tower. The witch was whistling and waving both of her arms to get the fairy's attention. Hey guys, there's something up here you should see, she called to them. This better not be another one of your pranks, Stitches, Tangerina warned her. If we go up there and we find another skeleton in a suggestive position, I'm gonna push you out that window. No, it's nothing like that, Stitches said. Just wait a second, you don't want to miss it. Esmeralda and Tangerina exchanged curious looks, but a couple of moments later they understood exactly what Stitches was talking about. The southern shore was covered in a dark shadow as a group of fluffy clouds blew in from the ocean and blocked the full moon. The girls could see the roofs and the spires of the Alchemy Institute peeking out of the clouds as the entire campus drifted over their heads and floated into the north. Is that the Alchemy Institute? Esmeralda exclaimed. But why is it moving, and where are the alchemists going? Tangerina asked. Esmeralda asked herself the same question and was suddenly filled with dread. There was only one reason that she could come up with. Oh no, Xanthos, she gasped. The alchemists must have found him. We have to follow them. Just as Dr. States and the Righteous Emperor discussed, that night at midnight, the alchemists arrived in Chariot Hills to safely eliminate Xanthos Hayfield. The Alchemy Institute descended into Chariot Hills and hovered above Town Square. Dr. States and the other alchemists were gathered on a balcony below the giant armillary sphere. That's a really hard word to say. Armillary sphere. In the very center of the campus. From there, the alchemists could see the entire city and the countryside surrounding it. After waiting several minutes, the Righteous Emperor, his High Commander, and the rest of the Righteous Brotherhood appeared on the roof of the Righteous Palace to greet the visitors. But oddly, not a single soldier from the Army of the Dead was with them. Good morning, gentlemen, Seven called up to them. Welcome to Chariot Hills. Hope you had a pleasant journey. I'm afraid we don't have time for pleasantries, Your Highness, Dr. States said. We need to perform the elimination at once. If you could kindly hand over Mr. Hayfield, we'll get it over with. A snide smile grew across the Emperor's face. Actually, Dr. States, I had second thoughts about our agreement, Seven said. What do you mean, second thoughts? He asked. I've given this situation a lot of thought, and I have decided to keep the boy myself, Seven said. I'm not sure I can trust you with him. Dr. States grunted impatiently. For God's sakes, this is no time to start a debate about trust, he said. The world is in danger. We have to destroy the boy before he destroys all of us. I agree. The world is in danger, but not from the boy, Seven said. After visiting your institute, I'm deeply concerned about you and your colleagues and your intentions. You claim to have no interest in gaining power, but I say the technology you possess tells a different story. I say you're just waiting for the right opportunity to strike and enslave us all. Dr. States was appalled at the Emperor's accusations. Your Highness, we are men of science, the alchemist declared. We have absolutely no interest in attacking your empire. That doesn't mean you won't change your mind, Seven said. You could easily use your sciences against me and my people if you wanted to. What's stopping you from turning Mr. Hayfield into another one of your experiments? What's stopping you from harnessing the boy's power and turning him into a weapon? No man should have that kind of power, and for the world's sake, I believe it's my responsibility to stop you. Bam! Bam! The alchemists heard the sound of explosions going off all around them. Bam! Bam! The Army of the Dead appeared on the rooftop of Town Square and fired cannons at the Institute. Bam! 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 The harpoons punctured the walls of the different facilities. Bam! Bam! The dead soldiers cranked the chains with giant reels, pulling the Alchemy Institute deeper and deeper into the town square. The alchemists were outraged as they watched the army of the dead assault their campus. Dr. States and the righteous Emperor locked eyes, exchanging a heated glance. "So you've led us into a trap," Dr. States said. "I should have known better. Men like me have been fighting against men like you since the beginning of time. For far too long, alchemists have sat in the shadows while tyrants spread ignorance and hatred. It's time we took a stand and put an end to it. So if it's a war you want, a war you shall get." The alchemist tapped his cane on the floor 4 times. Suddenly, the institute was filled with the sound of marching, but instead of thumping boots, the righteous emperor heard the clank of metal. All the doors through the campus burst open and hundreds of magbots emerged. The magbots formed a protective line around the Alchemy Institute, ready to defend the campus at all costs. The righteous emperor gave the high commander an eager nod. "Begin the attack," he ordered. The fairies and the witches raced through the countryside of the righteous emperor aboard their disguised carriage. They followed the Alchemy Institute from the ground as long as they could, but the floating campus eventually got way ahead of them and it disappeared from sight. Soon, the city of Chariot Hills appeared on the horizon and Emeralda spotted the Institute hovering above it. "Oh, there it is," Emeralda told the others. "They've stopped in Chariot Hills." She snapped her fingers and the horse charged ahead, racing even faster than before. However, when they were just a few miles outside the city, the horses neighed with fear and came to an unexpected halt. "What has gotten into them?" Skyline asked. The fairies and the witches poked their head out of the window to see what had spooked the horses. A few acres away, they saw a woman standing in the middle of the countryside all by herself. The woman wore a metallic gown, a headdress shaped like the jaws of a wrench, and she was clutching an old book tightly to her chest. "That is Princess Proxima from the Eastern Kingdom," Tangerina said. "What is she doing out here all by herself?" The fairies and the witches stepped outside the coach to get a better look, and the princess opened the book and read a passage aloud. "Demis dule, demis dole, demis cis, demis sole," Princess Proxima chanted. What did she say?" Sprout asked. "Well, if I didn't know any better, I'd say she was casting a very old spell," Mrs. V said. Pip caught a whiff of something in the air. "Is it just me, or does anybody else smell smoke?" she asked. And before the others had a chance to smell it, the ground started rumbling beneath their feet. The fairies and the witches saw bright flashes of light through the countryside, and when their eyes adjusted, they realized fire was rising out of the ground. In a matter of seconds, the entire countryside was covered in flames. And although the closest fire was a few acres away from them, the fairies and the witches could feel its warmth as if it were just a few feet away. Why is the fire coming out of the ground?" Tangerina yelled. Emeralda instantly recognized the fire. She would never forget this as long as she lived. "This is the fire that attacked the Eastern Kingdom," she said. "But Xanthos isn't anywhere near here," Skyline said. "So that proves he's innocent after all." "Proxima's the one causing the fire?" Emeralda said. "She's been behind the fire all along." "Hey, dames, do you notice anything funny about those flames?" Stitches asked. And at first the fairies and the witches didn't know what Stitches was talking about, but as they studied the flames, they quickly realized what the witch meant. The fire wasn't just hotter than regular fire, it was actually hundreds of people whose bodies were made entirely out of flames. The fairies and the witches could not believe what they were seeing and looked to one another in bewilderment. "The fire's alive!" Sprout exclaimed. "Well, I've never seen anything like that in my entire life," Mrs. V said. "What kind of magic is this?" Tangerina asked. "That's why the fire was chasing us in Iron Hand. It had legs," Emeralda said. Princess Proxima was ecstatic as she watched more and more fire people crawl out of the ground to join her. Soon she was surrounded by thousands and thousands of fiery bodies, but strangely, neither the princess nor her books were harmed by the fire it emitted. Proxima started marching toward Chariot Hills, and the fire people followed her. As they moved across the land, they left a trail of destruction behind them. The ground was scorched under their feet, and the sky filled with dark smoke, and a small brush fire spread in every direction. If something didn't stop the fire soon, the whole righteous empire, perhaps the world, would be burnt to a crisp. "Dr. States was right," Emeralda said. "This fire is going to destroy the world." "How can we stop it?" Tangerina asked. Emeralda went silent as she thought about it. She recalled something Dr. States said previously that caught her attention. It gave her a very troubling idea. It was absurd. It was irresponsible, and it made her sick to her stomach to think about it, but Emeralda didn't see another solution. Fire destroys, ice preserves, Emeralda said, and we're gonna need a lot of ice. Tangerina's whole body went stiff. Em, please tell me you aren't saying what I think you're actually saying. Actually, I am, Emeralda confessed. No, absolutely not, Tangerina objected. There's got to be another option. We don't have time to think of one. If we don't do something drastic, the entire kingdom is going to go up in smoke, Emeralda said. Quickly turned around to the witches. Stitches, Sprout, Bibi, Pip, did you bring your broomsticks? We never leave the house without them, Bibi said. Good, Emeralda said. I need you guys to fly us to the northern mountains right now. Oh, we know what they're doing. Oh my gosh. We're going back to Weatherbury. The Snow Queen returns. I didn't see it coming, but here we go. Chapter 21, The Sorcerer's Vault. Man, he's just bouncing back and forth between the characters, and I know why, but I'm getting whiplash, you guys. I'm getting whiplash going back and forth. In the chamber of the emotional challenge, Bristol and the delegates stood before the double doors at the top of the steps. They were equally encouraged and exhausted after completing the physical, mental, and emotional challenges, but nothing could physically, mentally, or emotionally prepare them for what was going to happen next. The deadliest and most dangerous creature that ever existed was lurking somewhere beyond those doors, and even though they didn't know what to expect, they had an eerie feeling that the creature was expecting them. Okay, remember, this is the end, Bristol said, reminding the others. If we survive whatever's waiting beyond these doors, we win. Hey, Ray. Lucy, Ryder, and Gobzella took a deep breath and tightened their grips on their weapons. Should we take bets on what the creature is? Lucy asked. Well, I'm guessing it's an extinct dragon species, Ryder said. If so, we have to stay as still and silent as possible. Dragons don't attack unless they feel threatened, but the minute that they think you're an enemy, there's practically nothing you can do to stop them. Maybe it's animal from mythology, Gobzella said, picturing a creature, head of lion, body of bear, fangs of snake, legs of horse. I shall be able to handle a creature like that. Remind me of goblin I used to date. I'm standing by my stage mother theory, Lucy said. If that's the case, everyone call me Madam Director and get ready for a rigged audition. At this point, nothing could be worse than the suspense, Bristol said. Let's just go in. Bristol slowly turned the handles and pushed open the doors. The delegates followed her into the next chamber. They discovered a very large and very dark room on the other side. But once they were all through the doors, they realized it wasn't a room. They had entered an infinite space that stretched for miles in every direction. The ground was flooded in a shadow pool of crystal clear water that came up to their ankles. The water perfectly reflected thousands of stars from the twinkling night sky above them. The reflection gave the illusion that the stars went on forever all around them, but the illusion was interrupted by the ripples their footsteps created. The double doors shut behind the delegates and they sank into the water and disappeared. The delegates wandered around... the doors sank into the water and disappeared, not the delegates, sorry. The delegates wandered around the endless space but didn't find anything except a tall, rectangular mirror. Bristol peered into the mirror but only saw her and her friend's reflections staring back. Why would the most dangerous creature in history need a mirror? Ryder asked. Or just water, Gobzella asked. Lucy shrugged. Maybe it's a narcissistic shack. The delegates spread out and continued searching the space, but Bristol felt compelled to stay in front of the mirror. A strange feeling told her that the mirror meant more than she realized. She just couldn't put her finger on what. After more than an hour of splashing through the area, the delegates still hadn't found anything or anyone else. Oh, what if the creature isn't even in here? Ryder said. It could have died or escaped the temple. You mean whole journey has been waste all this time? Gobzella said. Holy procrastination, Lucy exclaimed. Gobzella, maybe that's it. Maybe the deadliest and most dangerous creature on this whole planet is time. Ryder and Gobzilla scrunched their foreheads. Time? Ryder asked. How you come up with that? Gobzilla asked. Bristol and my old teacher, Madam Weatherbury, told us that time is the most complex thing in the universe, Lucy explained. It's both the culprit and the solution to all your problems. You always have too little or too much, but never the amount you want. And in the end, time kills us all. The delegates considered Lucy's theory and was convinced she was right, but Bristol wasn't as sure. She stayed in front of the mirror, never looking away from the others' reflections. What does a mirror have to do with time, though? She thought aloud. If time was the deadliest creature, surely the temple would put us face to face with a clock instead of our own. Bristol went quiet, and she was suddenly struck by a theory of her own. The idea was so shocking that Bristol placed a hand over her mouth. Oh my gosh, she whispered. I think I figured it out. The delegates gathered around Bristol and searched the mirror, looking for something hidden in the reflection. Where is it, Bristol? Ryder asked. Yeah, I don't see anything but us, Lucy said. That's because it is us, Bristol said. What do you mean it us? Gobzilla asked. The most dangerous and deadliest creature on the planet isn't an animal. It's people, Bristol explained. Think about it. Can you name another species that's caused more harm to itself or the planet? People pollute the skies, they fill the oceans with waste, they hunt other animals into extinction, people start wars against one another, and they hate for sport. They're the only creature on Earth that lies. The delegates took a long look at themselves in the mirror and their stomachs turned. Bristol was right. Yeah, but how can we defeat the creature if the creature is people? Lucy asked. Even sorcerer standards, that seems like a tall order. The legend didn't say we have to defeat the creature. It said we have to face it, Bristol recalled. Perhaps that's why the mirror is here. Before going into the vault, we have to take responsibility and acknowledge all the damage that people have caused. And just like we learned from Spanky, sometimes facing the truth is the hardest challenge of all. Suddenly, the mirror sank into the water and disappeared just like the double doors had before. The delegates felt a powerful rumble beneath their feet, and the water began rippling wildly. Thousands and thousands of enormous golden pillars shot straight out of the water and stretched high into the sky. Yeah, seriously, Nagisa. Yeah, it really is. Chris is just going deep. He's like, you thought this was for kids? LOL. I'm writing it that way to teach you all a lesson. And we're like, okay, I hear you. The water drained away, and the delegates found themselves standing on top of a silver star that was engraved into a white marble floor. The star pointed in 4 directions like a compass, and the delegates realized that the golden pillars had formed 4 endless corridors around them. As the delegates took in the amazing sight, millions of objects began materializing throughout the 4 corridors. Everything from gold to dirt appeared before their eyes and filled the vast spaces. Oh, no worries, Jack. I'll get it put up later today, but you can hang with us for now. We're in the final chamber, and Chris is emotionally beating us like he does. He's really a masochist, honestly. We made it, Bristol said breathlessly. We're in the Sorcerer's Vault. The delegates cheered, and Gobzilla lifted them all off the ground in a celebratory hug. Hey, Grace. As the goblin set her friends down, in a swirl of twinkling lights appeared beside them. The lights spun faster and faster, and before they could tell what was happening, a tall man was standing before them. The man had a wrinkled face, a long silver beard, and he wore a thick brown cloak with a hood over his head. Yes, we're on here. Yesterday's is already uploaded, Grace, and I'll get today's uploaded as soon as possible. The delegates were immediately intimidated by his stern and knowing gaze. They all took a step back, and Bristol recognized the man. He had the same face as one of the 7 statues at the beginning of the temple. Are you a sorcerer? Bristol asked him. I was, he replied. Lucy gulped. So you're a ghost? I am neither living nor dead. I am a memory, the sorcerer said. Now that you have passed the challenges, you are welcome to take 1 item from the temple. I'm here to assist you with your decision and help you navigate our vault. Would you like me to show you what the temple has to offer? Yes, please, Gobzilla exclaimed. The sorcerer turned to the first corridor with a grand gesture. It had mountains of gold, coins, jewelry, furniture, clothes, wine, carriages, and ships. If it is material possessions you desire, this is the gallery of goods, he said. Anything a person could ever need or want is within this gallery. All of these items belonged to the sorcerers when we were alive, and everything is still in pristine condition. The sorcerer walked around the delegates and gestured to the second corridor. It held a never-ending library with shelves so high that they disappeared into the sky. Yeah, Sloth, you're right. I mean, Princess Proxima supposedly has the book unless it's a fake. If knowledge is what you crave, this is the library of life, he said. Our library has a copy of every book that has ever been published or written, or just imagined, even in the author's mind. Even though the founders passed away many centuries ago, you will find our collection is very current. The sorcerer stood before the opening of a third corridor. It was lined with cupboards containing billions of scrolls, and the air was filled with floating quills taking notes on floating pieces of parchment. If it is answers you seek, this is the foyer of facts, he said. Everything that has ever happened, is happening, or will happen, has been documented in these archives. The answers to the greatest mysteries on Earth can be found within the Sorcerer's Scroll. The sorcerer gestured to the fourth and final corridor, and the fourth corridor contained 5 open doorways. Each of the doorways led to a room that was filled with thousands and thousands of bubbles. If insight is what you wish for, these are the halls of humanity, he said. By gazing into the bubbles within these doorways, you can see every present emotion on Earth. In the Hall of Dreams, each bubble contains insight to someone's greatest desires. Ooh, we know about that. In the Hall of Nightmares, each bubble contains insight to someone's worst fear. And in the Hall of Ideas, each bubble contains insight to someone's thoughts and opinions. In the Hall of Love, each bubble contains insight to someone's deepest affections. And in the Hall of Hatred, each bubble contains insight into someone's most shameful prejudices. Okay. Sounds awful. Thank you, Naisa and Sloth. I appreciate that compliment. That's very sweet. Bristol was drawn to the halls of humanity like a moth to a flame. She peered into each of the doorways and marveled at how beautiful and unique those bubbles were. The dreams sparkled and floated whimsically through the air. The nightmares were cloudy and flew erratically across the hall. The ideas had flashes of lightning and energetically bounced off one another. The love bubbles looked at each other as if they were blushing and drifted in leisurely circles around one another. And the hate bubbles were pitch black and frozen in place. Bristol was very intrigued by the halls of humanity, and she couldn't imagine all the good someone could spread with the insight to people's wildest dreams. But at the same time, there was something about the halls that Bristol found greatly disturbing. Why are the halls of nightmares and the halls of hatred fuller than others? She asked the sorcerer. That is an unfortunate reality of humanity, he said. Their dreams, ideas, and love have never exceeded their hatred or fear. And until that changes, I'm afraid they will always be the deadliest and most dangerous species on the planet. Hearing that made Bristol feel like she'd been punched, not anywhere in the body, but in her soul. She knew humanity was capable of changing. She had seen the world make profound changes with her own eyes. But sadly, Bristol knew that she would never live to see the day when the Hall of Dreams, ideas, or love were the fullest. She only had a week left to live, and right now, she couldn't waste a moment of it. Sir, we know exactly what we want to take, Bristol said. Oh? The sorcerer said with a peculiar look. Are you sure you don't want more time to browse the corridors? Unfortunately, time is a luxury we do not have, Bristol said. We've come to the Temple of Knowledge for the Book of Sorcery. The sorcerer raised his eyebrow curiously and stroked his long beard. How interesting, he said. Of all the possessions in this vault, the Book of Sorcery is the only object that has already been taken. What you mean it been taken? Gobzella exclaimed. You mean this whole thing has been a complete waste? Lucy asked. But who beat all the challenges before us? Ryder asked. Only one person has survived this far, the sorcerer said. Several centuries ago, a woman traveled to the temple and completed the challenges by herself. It took her over 300 years to finish, but she eventually reached the vault. Bristol and Lucy gasped in unison, thinking the same thing. The Immortal, they said. So she did get the Book of Sorcery after all, Bristol said. Yeah, but if the Immortal got the book, why didn't she use it to destroy the Daughter of Death? Why not keep her end of the bargain? Lucy asked. Ryder did a double take. I'm sorry. Did you just say the Daughter of Death and the Immortal? Lucy waved off the subject like it wasn't important. Yeah, one day we'll take you to lunch and we'll explain everything to you, she told him. The Immortal must have wanted it before she made her deal with death, Bristol determined. Otherwise, how would she have known to bring it up in the first place? Perhaps immortality wasn't what she wanted after all. Perhaps she just needed immortality to help her get the Book of Sorcery. So you're telling me there's something in the Book of Sorcery that's flashier than immortality? Lucy asked. Bristol winced as though she had winced at the thought and turned back to the sorcerer. Sir, do you remember who the woman was or where she might have taken the book? I'm sorry. I do not recall the woman's name, the sorcerer said. Sir, I used to work in a library, Bristol said. If the Library of Life is as grand as you say, surely there must be some sort of card catalog that keeps track of the books. The sorcerer gave her another peculiar look, but this time he was impressed. Follow me, he said. The delegates followed the sorcerer into the Library of Life, and after walking through more than a mile of endless bookshelves, they stopped at a massive cabinet. The cabinet had thousands of small drawers, and, like the shelves surrounding it, it was so tall that it disappeared into the night sky. The sorcerer levitated out of sight, floating toward the cabinet's highest drawers, and a few minutes later returned with a card. Here you are, he said. Bristol took the card from the sorcerer and read the name written on it. Immortalia? She said. Sounds like a lounge singer, Lucy said. Wait a second. I've heard that name before, Bristol said. Quick, I need a history book. The sorcerer led the delegates another mile into the Library of Life to a section of hundreds of thousands of history books, and Bristol rummaged through the collection until she found one dedicated to the Eastern Kingdom. She found Queen Industria's name at the bottom of a royal family tree and traced it backwards, going up the line of succession. Her finger landed on the portrait of a young queen with very familiar features. Bristol flipped the book over and showed the portrait to the others. I knew I recognized that name, she said. Queen Immortalia was the first woman to ever sit on the throne of the Eastern Kingdom, and there's been a woman on the throne ever since. Whoa, Lucy said. Looks like Queen Industria and Princess Proxima. Immortalia looks like all these queens. Bristol flipped through the history book and showed her friend the portraits of all the queens from the last 3 centuries. Yeah, something tells me that's more than a strong family resemblance, Lucy said. The Immortal has been right under our noses the entire time, Bristol said. We have to get to the Eastern Kingdom as soon as possible. Queen Industria has the Book of Sorcery. Dun, dun, dun! Well, that was a wild ride. As usual, cray-cray. Totally crazy. The problem for them is Queen Industria is not in the Eastern Kingdom, as we know. They don't know that, but we know that. She is in the Righteous Empire. So even if they go to the Eastern Kingdom, it's a waste of time. Just saying. There's only 3 chapters left, you guys. How's he gonna wrap it up? How's he gonna do that? I don't even get it. How do you wrap that up in 3 chapters? I don't understand. Yeah, that's a good question, Jack. What will they choose since they can't choose the book? Oh, no, we know. We have to know, right? Yeah, more chapters, please. I don't want to say it. Do you guys want me to say what I think she's going to choose? Because we have to. We know, right? From the previous series. Jack, did you read the previous series? She chooses the Hall of Dreams. She takes the Hall of Dreams with her because the fairy godmother has a Hall of Dreams in the first series. Yeah, the fairy godmother makes people's dreams come true by having the Hall of Dreams. That's how she like does her fairy godmothering. Oh my gosh, I know, I need to fix that, Grace. Yeah, so I'm sure that's what she's gonna take with her. Has to be, right? I mean, how else would she get that? That's what I'm guessing, obviously. But that's like her whole thing. Yeah. Okay, well, that was a wild ride. And I'm gonna go get to work. I will see you all later. Don't forget we have Roll for Slime tomorrow, so if you are a Roll for Slime person and you have not signed up, please do. Just FYI, next week is going to be After Dark because I have new After Dark add-ins coming in, so I'm gonna do a whole bunch of After Darks. Like next week will be all After Dark next Thursday because the new add-ins for After Dark will probably arrive end of this week. So next week we'll just be able to do a whole bunch of them with all new fun stuff. So that's exciting for us. It's always nice to have new things, as what's her name would say. No massive paper confetti. You know, that wasn't where I was headed, but we could do it. But I'm excited to show you guys what I found. I found some really fun After Dark like charms and stuff like that we've never had before. And yeah, you should probably get on that. I should probably get on that. Yes. Am I able to sign up if there's space? Yes. Yes. Absolutely, provided that there's space. Oh, can we go today instead? Then Mac wanted to watch live and he shouldn't watch AD next week. Yes, Ray, it's actually tomorrow, not today, but you can totally go tomorrow. If you just go sign him up on the post and I'll add him to the list. Oh, the mod thing. Oh yeah, we can do that right now. Roll for Slime is tomorrow, isn't it, you guys? Wait, how does it? Oh, it's not letting me do it. Oh, I don't even have abilities yet. I can't even pin comments. It's locked. I have to check requirements. Guys, I don't have enough followers on this account to pin things or to make mods. Nobody's a mod. Yeah. It won't let me. It got a little lock symbol by it, and it says you have to unlock this feature. 3 days. Okay. Well, tomorrow will be our 3rd day on this one. Yeah, it really is. It's so strange. We'll protect you. Yeah, no one comes in here though, you guys. Like, this is so quiet, right? It's just us, literally. There's only 17 of us. We know it's just us. It's not a big deal. That's kind of why we wanted to have book club over here, so it could be nice and quiet and just be, you know. Yeah, it is Becca's job. That's, of course, it's Becca's job. It's a secret for now. Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm gonna go and get to work because I have a lot of work to do, but it's all good things, and we will get probably Becca. I'd imagine so. But no one in here. Please, Grace. They just wild. I mean, truly just, they couldn't take it. They couldn't take it. It's wild. Like, it's shocking to me how personally they took it. Like, they took it so personally. I was like, you guys, me either, Amanda. It's so weird. I was like, do they not know that like this isn't common knowledge? You know what I mean? Let my daughter damage my hair because I'm so done. Oh no. It's really not. It's really not, Liz. It's weird though. Like, I think that they do, Grace. They really do. It's so weird. They're like, it's common knowledge. I was like, it's really not. It's really not. Like, it's not something that anyone knows anywhere else. Like, people in the comments were like, I'm from Wisconsin and I also didn't know. And it's the neighboring state. Like, even the people in the next state over didn't know. I was like, you think people in California know when your next state didn't? Right. Grace grew up in Chicago and she didn't know. I was like, you guys, it's not even a thing. Like, I was like, you guys think, they're like, oh, it's common. I was like, it's really not. It's really not. Oh my God, I would never, Jack. I would never. Someone in the comments, one of our people from Patreon, she's from Wisconsin, and she was like, I'm gonna start a fight in your comments. And I was like, okay, what are you gonna do? And she commented to them that the UP should be part of Wisconsin, or the UP rather, it's not the UP, it's the UP, should be part of Wisconsin, and they lost their mind at her. Exactly, Ray, you're like, I don't know. they lost their mind at her. And she's from Wisconsin. They were like, we would never give it up to you. And I was like, oh my God, you guys, she was making a joke. You guys know that, right? Like, she was just being funny. And like, she's one of us. So I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She was like, no, I did it to myself. I was like, okay, you know, it's wild. It's wild. I was like, advertising the UP to Wisconsin, a lot of people are weird. Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's so crazy to me. I was like, okay, well, you guys have a lot of fun over there. It sounds like you're going through something. Because, like, I've never seen a post about California, even if they say something wrong, and felt the need to attack the person. That's never crossed my mind. Usually if someone says something about California and a post is wrong, I just scroll by, or if they're being nice and asking a question, I'll just answer. I knew about the UP, but I had no idea they were this crazy. I thought Detroit was bad. They do not want to be associated with that, apparently. And they were all really mad that the picture in the lower part was of something that's in the upper part. And I was like, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I don't know how to help you. Yikes, Amanda. We're not going to say that out loud in front of them, right? Anyway, I'm going to get going because I do have a lot of work today. But I will see you all later. And we will have, you know, a lot of fun. All right, bye guys.